Hey everybody, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Richard, this is Lap of the World, and today's video is going to be a little bit impromptu. I don't have a whole lot quote-unquote scripted out from a storyline standpoint, so we're just going to play it by ear. Hopefully it'll still be mostly coherent. I wanted to talk about first a couple of things that I've been working on for the Lap of the World channel and brand, and then we'll get on to some stuff that I've been working on the NSX. With a little bit of a how-to there. Nothing too extensive, I don't think, but more just kind of a point of interest that is both something to watch out for if you're interested in buying an NSX, as well as something that you should kind of keep in mind if you own one, as far as planning for future considerations there. But yeah, so I came out to the garage today and I was in a little bit of a mood. I was like, hey, I don't want to worry about filming anything. I just want to do work. And so I got stuck in on the NSX, and I've actually gotten most of the way through what I was doing there. And then I stopped. I was like, no, you're an idiot. Somebody is going to find this useful. You should film it. So here we are. Like I said, though, first thing I want to touch on is a couple of things that I've been working on while I've been procrastinating on doing stuff on the actual cars. I've been working on some stuff for the Lap of the World channel and brand that you may be interested in. One was kind of I don't know, it's probably a happy accident. So I wanted to update my heretofore fairly amateurish website, lapoftheworld.com, and I broke it. I'll just own that right there. I am clearly no WordPress is what I had it built on. I'm clearly no pro there. And somehow I either missed an update or it needed an update. I went to change something and it just bricked. So I'm figuring that out, but in the meantime, I have pointed that website to my Google map, which is basically an electronic version of the big map I have on the wall in my garage, in that I am using it to document my progress. But to do so, I just went ahead and built a map of every road course in the world. And it's actually more than that, because it's not just every active road course. I'm reasonably certain I have every active road course. But it's also more than that. I also included a lot of the abandoned tracks. I said my most popular video to date is me walking around, sweating my way around Augusta International down in Georgia, a track that people that even lived there didn't even know about until they watched the video. A lot of comments were like, hey, I've seen that park, but I didn't know that's what that was. That video has over 100,000 views, so clearly abandoned tracks are a thing, and I've included as many as I could find good information on, and especially those where there is still some relic left. Maybe it's just the start-finish tower, maybe it's just a bridge, as with Bridgehampton, where there's now a golf course where a racetrack used to be in New York. And you can toggle to either look at just the active stuff, just the historic stuff, and then I have it color coded some other different ways, but it has everything. Even stuff that the general public would not normally have access to, like proving grounds and test tracks and training centers and things of that nature. So yeah, if you think you have some super secret racetrack out there in the world, I've probably blown your cover without you knowing it, and I'm sorry, not sorry, I guess. But so I've been working on that. You should go take a look if you're curious about the couple of thousand different map pins I had to drop for that. Go and have a look at it. One of the other things that I've been working on is teaching myself to do some graphic design so I can be more self-sufficient in that space. The end result of my fiddling and sort of trying to autodidact that space was that I now have a small and modest merch store open on Teespring. So if you would like a road trip and racetrack branded t-shirt or mug at this point in time, I think is what I have on there, then I've got you. You can get that via Lap of the World on Teespring. I'll leave a link to that below. But that's what I've been using to procrastinate, I guess you could say, among the other YouTube kind of networking and sending emails and things like that. But so anyway, let's change gears then, and we'll talk about what I've been working on with the NSX back here. So I had been procrastinating doing this because I needed to wait until a time where I wasn't really using the car. And I don't know why I didn't get to this sooner in the, or earlier in the quarantine period, or, sort of stay-at-home period, but I didn't. And that has been the speakers in this car, or the stereo system in general, has been undergoing a slow and painful death over the past, probably since I've owned the car. It worked when I bought it decently well, but it was never all that, never packed all that much of a punch. And then a few years into my ownership, it started getting to the point where it would kind of work when it felt like it. And in the last couple of years, it's definitely been notable that if I'd start driving, it would be very limited volume, even though I turned it way up. And then at some point during the drive, it would just come back to life. Usually it would scare the crap out of me. All of a sudden, this big jump in volume. But then it would work for the rest of the trip, so I was good. Liz and I did NS Expo 2018. We drove from Tennessee to California and back. And it worked more or less the whole time. We were able to kind of, as much as we loved, being able to kind of hang out and talk to each other on those trips, eventually you just run out, or you just need some time to just chill and listen to music and watch the scenery. And it's nice to have that option. And right now, staring another potential cross-country trip in the face as NS Expo this year, assuming it happens, fingers crossed, will be in Oregon. We're looking at another roughly 6,000 mile round trip. And it'd be nice to have, be nice to be able to listen to some music during that time without having to resort to headphones or something like that. So that's what I've been doing. And that, it finally had died to the point where anytime I would turn it on, it would just start popping and hissing and clicking and being really super obnoxious. And then it would, even if I gave it a few minutes, it would never come back to life. So the most recent trip that I did to Florida, down to the firm and back, that was done in radio silence at least. So I figured it was about that time, and that's what I've been working on. I'll kind of walk around here with you and show you. Right now I have the it's all the way open. I have the door cards both off. So we'll kind of walk through that process here. I'll give you the quick step-by-step, and then we'll talk a little bit more about what's involved with that. First, some background. The first generation NSX features a stereo system comprised of an Alpine-built head unit and Bose speaker units. I say speaker units because these are integrated speaker and amplifier modules, as opposed to having a traditional single central amp driving however many speakers. According to the wiki on NSX Prime, the proximate cause of most failures involves some less than heat-tolerant capacitors in the amplifiers packaged within each speaker unit. They will all eventually fail more quickly if you listen to your music louder, thus putting more current through the system. My car has a loudish exhaust, and although not many, still a few squeaks and rattles, so drowning those out has, I'm sure, exacerbated this problem. The process of fixing the failed amps starts with removing them. First, remove the plastic trim triangles at the front and rear of the door. They are just clipped in, but can be stubborn. Next, remove the forwardmost leather-trimmed panel behind the door pull. It may also require some encouragement. Next, remove several screws, one electrical connector, and the door latch cable to remove the door latch and handle assembly. Now, find the 6 or 7 screws behind the inner weather stripping that hold the door card on and remove those. Carefully untuck these screw tabs from the weather stripping. These little tabs can be brittle. You should now be ready to pull the door card loose but not off. Pull firmly upwards and towards you. Once it comes loose, stop. It's time to mangle your fingers unplugging stubborn wiring connectors in close proximity to machined metal brackets. Tilt the panel towards you and disconnect the 5 remaining connectors. Once you finish bleeding and swearing, take the door card away, and you should now have access to the speaker units. Remove the 5 or so screws, unplug the connector, and remove it from the door. Repeat this for the passenger side. The subwoofer is in the passenger floorboard and is easier to access. Peel back the carpet, remove the stamped aluminum cover plate, and disconnect a couple of wire connectors before unbolting the black speaker box from the floor. Once you have them out, open the modules via a dozen or so 1/4-inch screws, find the circuit board amplifier units, disconnect and unscrew them, and get in touch with NSXE Repair or Science of Speed, through whom you can have them repaired. So at this point, I have all of the speaker and amp enclosures pulled out of the car. And indeed, before I decided to make the video, I already pulled all of the offending circuit boards out and packaged them up. They are ready to go into the mail tomorrow and up to our resident NSX community electronics repair wizard. It's nsxerepair.com. I'll leave a link down below. I've used him for the climate control unit as well, I believe, and that came out great. So, but when you crack these suckers open, this is what I was talking about. So you have a speaker, the speaker driver on one side. I appreciate that this one is was produced in January 9th, 1990, it would seem. And I'm hoping, my fingers are crossed, that the speakers are all good. I mean, speakers are pretty simple devices. They're kind of hard to screw up. But again, these are 30 years old and or nearly 30 years old with that much mileage and vibration through them. So hopefully those are okay. But the little amp guys and circuit boards mount right here. And typically what happens is the capacitors go bad, and that's generally what they do. Is he'll go in and in his repair process will fix any broken traces, replace capacitors, and just clean things up. And generally speaking, the consensus of the community is they come back better than new, and you're probably good to go for, I would say, as long as you're going to keep the car. But in the NSX community, that can be like a few decades in some cases. So anyway, it should be good to go for a long time at the very least. So that's where those are. That's where I am with that. I've got a couple of other things that I mean to get to. You probably can't read my whiteboard back there, but the top one was speaker amp rebuild, which we're doing. Also, I'm going to look at doing something with the gauge cluster. There's nothing wrong with it, but that probably deserves its own video because there's been sort of another I don't know if you want to add a sixth item to my 5 ways to kill an NSX video that I did a long time ago. Maybe it's time to remake that one, but doing something with get the gauge cluster recapacitored potentially. And then also back here, I've got this, the flocking has the parcel shelf, and this is both the Targa and the Coupe version of the NSX have this engine cover that you can use as kind of a parcel shelf for non-thermally sensitive items. And it's, I think in both cases, I actually don't know 100% on the Targa version because it has like a clamshell type doodad to store the Targa top. But on the Coupe, it's just a flat divider, fiberglass piece with some insulation on it between the engine bay and the glass hatch. And it has this like flocked coating on it. And mine has clearly gone off. Anytime I put something on it or set anything on it, I don't know if you can see that on my finger, but it leaves this like powdery residue on it. And as well, you can see where some of it has just come off in chunks. And I saw some, I sort of fish around for the NSX keyword on the internet, on YouTube in particular, and on the internet in general, just to make sure I'm not missing a trick. And I saw some Japanese guys take an interesting approach to this that I may try. And that could be entertaining or tragic or both. But the goal would be to deflock that and then find a way, though, to recoat it with something that would maintain its kind of anti-glare properties. Because you don't want a shiny surface there with that glass dome, because you just end up getting some sort of rear view mirror lobotomy with a laser beam anytime you ended up with the sun at the right angle. So anyhow, yeah, so that's what I've been working on. Quick garage hangout video here of kind of what I've been working on and what's coming up. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, if you were you want to see what's coming up, don't forget to subscribe. Like the video if you enjoyed it. Leave a comment if you have any questions, and I will see you guys in the next video, if not at the track.